Oh man, I should have worn my pink rashi.
I know, man. I feel bad that we're not matching now.
I know. I was in a Zoom conference for work beforehand, so I couldn't really pull it off. I've got my Premier League shirt on.
Nice. Can you make yourself any louder, Brendan?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We're recording already. So you guys are the band Kimura, or is it Kimura the band?
Just Kimura, I think.
Kimura, yeah.
Your Instagram is the band Kimura, or the other way around. Which one is it?
It's Kimura the band. I think that's because there are several bands who've called themselves Kimura, but they're going to get toe-holded, and then eventually
they hadn't.
Yeah. They're going to have some Vinny Magahala's knees by the end of it.
Did you see how his knee was pointing that way, and so was his
man.
It was disgusting.
It was gross. It was gross. Yeah.
Horrible.
The thing is, there's a lot of other bands called Kimura, but I think we're the only specifically jiu-jitsu subject-related band that's called Kimura.
Oh, is that
so
right? So
therefore, we are the best.
Just manufactured a name, or
yeah.
Oh, really?
I think it's just a cool sounding name to a lot of people.
Yeah, Kimura.
I think it's worth pointing out at this stage that all of those toys in the background of Dan's picture are in fact Dan's.
Yeah.
As are the costume.
And the pink wallpaper matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get it.
If you ever go around Dan's house, he makes you play tea. And he's like, sometimes you get to play doctors and nurses. Takes you to a dark cupboard.
I don't know if you can see, but because we're doing a jiu-jitsu podcast, there are actually jiu-jitsu trophies up there.
Oh, nice.
Whose are those, Dan? Who did you borrow those?
Summers.
So, guys, before we go on any more, you guys are Kimura the band, right? And you train with us in Harrow. So you guys weren't a band before you came to us. You kind of met training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So
well, definitely for Brendan, we met Brendan through Premier. Luke and I, we've been friends for a while. We met a random gig.
It was an NFT show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a weird backstory behind that I don't know if I ever told you, actually. It's because I was on my mate's stag do, and it was the most unorganised thing, and no one had planned anything. So we kind of just went, what should we do? There's a gig on, let's go to that. So we all just went to this MXPX show and got pissed. And I started sort of crowd surfing and jumping around, and then bumped into Dan. And I think Kat and Steve were there as well, weren't they? They were friends of us from another band. And then we started chatting and started hanging out after that, and then started our own, or you had a band going that I joined, and then, we didn't start video until a little while after that.
Yeah, so I started, we've got another band, a skate punk band. And I started at Premier in December of 2016. And all I did was bang on about it to Luke. So in January 2017, that's when he started. So,
so I remember Dan, I remember you started, and then Luke, you came. But Brendan, you were training with us in the South Harrow Academy for a while, right?
Yeah, that's right. I started MMA with Sean. Absolutely loved it. Loved the energy of the class, the intensity, and just the friendliness of the club as well. Because I was, which is exactly what I wanted. I moved here from Romford in Essex, and came out here. Relationship ended. Knew no one. I was sort of like isolated here. Thought I've got to meet friends. Got to build up a bit of a social network. And Premier was ideal for that, because you get this. Everyone's really serious about their training. So it's not like a karate class where people have got their bellies hanging over their belts and, you do cat for 5 minutes.
Mine is now, though. Mine is now.
Yeah. They go to fun. But, Sean was great. He just really set me at ease, but also just loved it. Then we were talking about jiu-jitsu and wrestling, all that sort of stuff. Got into the grappling side of things, and just been hooked since then, addicted to it.
It's very addictive. So you guys, so Dan and Luke, were you the instigator in this new band? How did the new band come about?
I think it was an incredibly drunken conversation we had at one point. we were looking to do something new because we're both into kind of heavier stuff, and we were looking to kind of go in that kind of direction with the music that we wanted to make. And I think just over drinks one night we were just like laughing about it. We thought just the name Kimura, I think that came up first, and then we were just like, yeah, let's make it all jiu-jitsu related. And Brendan, I knew that Brendan plays guitar as well. We've been chatting about it. He has a band that he plays in outside as well. So I was just like, let's make it a thing. Let's make it everybody's Premier MMA. We're all jiu-jitsu guys. It's gonna be totally awesome. So it was just kind of one of those real sort of silly, off the cuff, drunken conversations that eventually became a reality.
I think as well, like there's a genre for literally every type of heavy metal. There's a band called Arno Core where everyone dresses up like Arnold Schwarzenegger and they play Arnold Schwarzenegger heavy metal. And there's look these up, man. Go on YouTube because these are amazing. There's one called I think they're called Oakley Dokley, and they all dress like Ned.
Oh, yeah.
So we were like, why not do Jitscore, man? Why not start Jitscore?
So you guys, all your songs are jiu-jitsu related?
Yes.
Jiu-jitsu and catch wrestling, because keeping the Premier roots there.
There's a Billy Robinson song, isn't there, as well? Like,
yeah.
There's a what?
There's a Billy Robinson song in there as well.
There is, yeah. It's just the words "do it again" over and over for the whole song.
I don't know if I'd have. I don't know. I might cry if I heard that again. Only bad memories. Do it again.
If you come to the show, we'll kind of whack you with a cane while we.
Yes. So for those that don't know, obviously we do jiu-jitsu predominantly in Harrow, but my roots is jiu-jitsu and some catch wrestling as well, which is more of a submission wrestling. You know, it looks like jiu-jitsu to the untrained eye, but I'm always saying jiu-jitsu finds its way around a problem, catch wrestling finds its way through that problem. So it can be perceived as a little bit more brutal at times. And one of the guys that taught me for quite a while before he passed away was Billy Robinson. So have we got somebody else popping on here?
Oh, our drummer, yeah.
Right. Very cool.
He should be fun because he doesn't train or really know anything about jiu-jitsu, so he's quite a good, like, straight man.
So he's about
How are we doing,
level.
everyone?
All right, mate.
Have you got some video, Elliot?
Say again?
Have you got some
We
video?
need some video there. We need to see who's talking behind there.
Right,
So we were saying hello, mate.
There he is.
How are we doing? All right?
Hello, mate.
Good stuff. So we're just talking about the catch wrestling. So yeah, Billy Robinson was somebody that influenced my catch wrestling quite a lot. And his phrase, I mean, we've even had t-shirts made with "do it again." You know, he was such a perfectionist. You think you're doing it right. You come from this Roger Gracie jiu-jitsu background. I think you're doing everything right. And all of a sudden he just slaughters every technique that you're doing. Do it again. Do it again. You know,
Yeah, I think all three of us are quite big fans of the kind of the catch wrestling style. Over the straight jiu-jitsu as well. We are fans of going through instead of around.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sometimes it's nice when you're not on the receiving end. It's fun.
Yeah.
So you guys,
I think we're the only
you
London
have
club that does it, aren't we?
What, do both?
Yeah. I can't think of anyone else locally that does.
I think there's a couple. There's the guy that runs. I think it's Chris Thompson. I want to say. I think he has. I think, yeah, there's a couple out there. But I can't remember where he is. He's up north somewhere. But yeah, I try and always, when I'm teaching it, give you guys this is how the jiu-jitsu guy would do it. This is how the catch wrestler would do it. Or we have separate days where I go, right, let's go all catch today. Right, let's go all jiu-jitsu today. But to give you the kind of, you pick one and see what works for you, I think.
Yeah.
There was a few eye-opening moments for me, learning some catch after doing jiu-jitsu first, going, oh, this is better. I like this one. It's sometimes a bit more brutal, right? But you guys have normal day jobs, right? What do you do as day jobs?
I'll go first. I sit around playing computer games all day. It's my main job. I'm a games tester, normally in London. At the moment, this is my office. So I've been pretty lucky. What with situation at the moment is no different for me really working here to working in London, other than I miss the gym that's around the corner.
Yeah. So when you say a games tester, will you sit in front of a PC or an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever and play games?
Yeah, it's in front of a PC, and I sit and I kind of work with the developers. So I start from kind of bits of lines of code and nothingness into full blown games, and that's my main squeeze.
That's crazy, right? And what about you other guys? What do you do for proper jobs?
I'm a video editor. I do podcast documentary stuff for like Channel 4, Channel 5, that kind of thing. But yeah, I do a kind of a weird specialization in there where it's all like balancing color between shots and stuff. It's all quite kind of weird. I don't know if people know that it is a job, but there's a lot of kind of technical back end stuff that I end up doing. But again, I work in Soho mostly, and that's all kind of shut down now. So I've got a computer at home, but like no one can shoot anything. The whole production industry just stopped because obviously you can't have a whole crew and a cast and everyone standing around within X feet of each other shooting. So there's nothing for me to cut at the minute. So I'm kind of waiting for, you wait for them to, they reckon they're going to start up again in June. And then after that, there's another 4-6 weeks for them to shoot. And then I might be able to do something after that. But you kind of just have to wait for it to get to the end of the process.
So have you worked on anything people would have known about?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how old these people are. But there's a long-running show on Channel 5 called GPs, which I haven't really watched a lot of, but well, apart from the ones I've worked on, but it's like a soap almost, but it follows GPs in their surgeries, and you get the same patients coming in and out and stuff like that. But they're literally, I think they're on the 7th series, and every series has like 50 episodes. Like, it's a huge thing. But yeah, I did a little bit of work on First Dates last year. I worked on a Charlie Brooker comedy thing last year, which was pretty cool, and he came in this week and sat with us, which was pretty fun. So yeah, like little bits and bobs, but it's mostly, yeah, like I say, mostly kind of quite serious, like history documentaries and stuff like that.
Brendan, what's your proper job?
Mine's super boring, but like Luke and Dan have got the best jobs, you know, sort of Dan gets told to stay at home all day and play computer games, which is what your parents telling you growing up is no one's going to pay you for, and he's there proving right? I work for a local authority. I'm a lawyer. I do child protection and vulnerable adults. So it's just trying to sort of protect vulnerable people from the nasty people out there that try and take the piss, really. But that's quite busy at the moment, as you can imagine, with lockdown. A few challenges arising out of that because we're less able to intervene, and schools being off. Schools are such a protective factor. The amount of work teachers do, not just educating your children, but looking out for them and taking care of them is really important. And without that at the moment, it's tough. But I work with some really dedicated social workers, and you know they do like 40-hour, 50-hour weeks every week. You know, just trying to make sure people are protected. So it's nice being able to help them, support them, I guess.
And so the drummer, I've got your name up here, L. Is that right? E-W-L?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Elliot.
You're the drummer, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
So how did you meet these guys?
So Dan is one of my best mates' brother-in-law. And yeah, he found out that I played drums and asked me to come down, and I've been there ever since, really.
And that was that. And do you have a job?
Yeah, so I do HR for a scientific instruments company. But much like the band, I don't really know what they're talking about most of the time. So I just kind of sit in the background and just smile.
So guys, there's 4 of us versus 1. We've got to get him training, right?
Exactly.
We've been trying, man. We've been trying. We'll get him into a trial class one day.
We're going to have to like break out into a role mid-practice, like whether you like it or not.
Yeah, we've managed to almost keep the band in-house at Premier. So Elliot's brother is best mates with Stuart down in Newton Abbot.
Yeah.
So somehow, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my brother used to train with Premier at some point as well.
Back in East.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think
stuff.
we started with Stuart.
Separation, right? Everybody knows somebody at some point if you work it down.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, have you guys got a clip that I can go onto and share the screen share?
Yeah. We don't have anything official at the moment. We were actually looking to start gigging, well, last month now, because we generally take January and February off because they're terrible months for gigging because everybody's broke. You know, nobody wants to go out. The weather's awful. It's dark at 3 o'clock. It's not really a great time for getting people out to shows. So we were looking to start up. Like I say, last month we had some shows booked. I think one in Bristol, one probably a couple in London. But things being what they were, they've all disappeared. There's no gigging, no venues, no nothing at the moment. But we do have a pretty rough practice session. I'll just pop the link in the chat.
So I should be able to screen share that. I don't know how I can do that, but let's try. So I have to hit a screen share first. Is that a YouTube? Is it on? What?
I don't know how this is going to sound.
We shall see. All right. So can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to clean your desktop up, sir.
Oh,
Yeah,
this laptop I'm on is ridiculous. It's now, because I've been doing so much video content, it's pretty much killed my whole laptop's dead. Hang on. So rather than use that link, Dan, because I don't know how that'll work with a screen share. What am I going to do? Look, everything is martial arts.
Oh, yeah. If you type Kimura position, that should work.
Oh man, there's
Kimura
that Lachlan Giles and Gordon Ryan breakdown.
Posish. The song is called Posish Before Submish.
Oh yes.
There we go.
So this is you guys and your studio recording. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep, we're
scary
recording
already.
I think it's cut the sound, is it?
Cut the sound, yeah. It might be.
That's probably for the best.
Craig Jones shorts.
Yeah, Craig Jones shorts. Big love leg lock.
But check out Brendan's power stance in a minute.
Oh, Brendan's got, yeah, there it is.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a copyright notice on my channel in a minute.
No wonder Brendan's got legs of steel as he's squatting through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's easy listening. I think we put ourselves under easy listening on Spotify.
Yeah. So this song is the lyrics are all about moving through positions and going for a cross collar choke.
Nice.
So it's not quite Ed Sheeran, is it?
Not quite.
We might cover him at some point. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe.
Jeepers creepers. So does your voice not hurt when you do that then?
Do you know what? It's been many a year of practice getting to be able to scream like that. But yeah, normally I'm on lemon tea for a couple of days after a band practice.
I bet.
It's one of those weird things that people just think, like a lot of people that don't listen to metal think screaming is kind of just like someone screaming and just making a lot of noise. But actually, it's really hard to do. And to do it consistently as well without damaging your voice is really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a long time. It took a long time to get there. A lot of cigarettes.
What? Forgive my ignorance. What genre of music would you call it?
It's jitsu, right?
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's cool. So like there's inside heavy metal, there's a genre called hardcore.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like fast punk, but with sort of big drops, like big, slow, heavy drops. Yeah. And that's kind of been co-opted into all sorts of stuff. So when you look through metal genres now, you get like metalcore and hardcore and emo core and all these different, like they just put core after everything. So we're Jitscore.
As far as you know, you're the first band that are pretty much jiu-jitsu based guys.
The only one that we know of, yeah.
That's pretty cool. That are doing jit stroke kind of catch with your grappling place.
We can set up some like matting in front of the stage and just have like an open mat in front of the stage while we play a set.
Yeah.
all our moshes are regulated by the IBJJF.
Yeah. Do we want to go for points-based mosh pits, submission onlys?
Yeah. Okay, try a tie hold. We'll have to
Oh dear.
The plan was going to be that we're all gonna dress up in jiu-jitsu gear as well on stage. So I'm gonna wear my, like in the video, I'll have my belt on. But for Elliot, we're gonna dress him up in a Street Fighter 2 costume instead.
I thought we was going WWF referee.
Oh, you should go with that as well, yeah.
That's it, a little armband. And what you've got to do when somebody does a wicked dive off the stage, you give it 2 points. 2 points for the takedown. Yeah, very cool. So you guys are just waiting now for this lockdown to be over, so you can get some gigs, something lined up, and get ready to go.
Pretty much, yeah. We're gonna try recording something separately. I've seen a few bands. I follow most of my Facebook feed is either music or jiu-jitsu, and I've seen a few bands now do this thing where everybody records their own part individually at home, and then somebody's kind of put it all together.
Only you knew an editor.
Yeah, well, we've got an editor. Yeah. Perfect. So hopefully we'll be able to get something a little nicer sound. I say nicer, a little more put together. It's still going to be as brutal as what we got on YouTube.
It doesn't get any more polite.
No.
That's interesting stuff. So for the jiu-jitsu guys amongst us, I'm sure this is going to go out to our jiu-jitsu students. Elle, I'm sorry we have to leave you out of this one unless you've heard of it.
I'm used to it, mate, to be fair.
A favourite jiu-jitsu technique or move, what would that be? I think I can pretty much predict what that's going to be. But if you have a favourite move, what would that be? Somebody go first. I don't care.
I'll go first. Actually, okay, I'll count to 3 and then say it at the same time because I think you know what it is. 1, 2, 3. Americana?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, it's a classic, man. Like, it was one of the first techniques that you showed us. And it's one of those that, I don't know, I don't get a lot of people use it on me. But when I'm rolling, and I always like my top game is my comfortable position. So I always try and pass, get into side control. That's where I feel the most comfortable. I just see them come up all the time. And I've hit everyone with them. Like, that wrist always seems to be available. So, like, it's a really high percentage technique. So I'm almost surprised that I don't see more people going for it. But I don't know whether maybe it gets, as you start going against, like, the higher belts and stuff, it always gets tougher and tougher to pull. But I suppose that applies to everything, right? You just have to get better.
Yeah, I quite like an Americana as well, top of side control. But I think what happens is, because it's such an early on first few lesson move, people get it, and it's, I guess, classed as the white belt move, and they move on and try and catch flashier stuff. So actually, taking the basics approach, basics win fights, right? You gravitate to actually what you've probably trained most, Topside Americana, right? All right, what else, guys? What else you got?
Nice. I'm a big fan of an outside heel hook. I find myself in positions to catch it a lot, and I think as the the kind of the little guy out of the band, or just kind of one of the smaller dudes in the gym, going for leg locks means that somebody's weight isn't on me. I'm not having to deal with somebody's kind of superior upper body. So they just seem to be a high percentage. You know, if I can catch a leg lock on Brendan, I can catch a leg lock on anybody, and that outside heel hook is always seems to be there for me. Unless I'm going against, there's a couple of guys in the gym just ridiculous tree trunk legs, but most of the time I catch them pretty well.
Doesn't work too well on Rick or Jed.
Yeah.
You were saying in practice you could beat Jed, Dan, weren't you? You were saying that.
Oh yeah, you were saying like
next time you came across him, you got to heel hook him, you got to choke out Rick, all this sort of stuff. You said you got to do MMA rounds with Sean as well, man. You know, looking after it.
I have been known to call out people way above my pay.
Dan likes you like a little social media battle, don't you? Like putting the cat away.
Yeah.
You know what? There's one thing you can say about Dan is he will always turn up for the fight. Doesn't matter how stacked the odds are against him. He'll just be like, "Yep, go do it."
Yeah.
Go in and fight it. You know, he's great.
To be fair, he has won a lot of those fights by DQ.
Is that what the trophies are for back there?
Yeah.
We buy him one just to make him feel special afterwards, you know.
And Brendan, I can predict yours. I know yours.
Yeah, it's the toe hold. We all know it's going to be the toe hold. A close second is the constrictor that you showed us, and then Josh Barnett showed us as well. I like that a lot. I love the face you pull when I do it, Chris, because I can see me getting it, and you're like, I can see how much you hate the technique. And that makes me love it more. So I like that. But the toe hold's been great because you can attack it from so many places, and once you start seeing it, it really does change your game because you know you could be on bottom and you could be quite confident. You don't panic. You start to look for it, or you could be on top. And you know you can roll into it from top of half guard and stuff like that. So it's cool, man. It's a good move. And again, like you said, basics win fights. And I know it's a leg lock, and leg locks are seen as advanced, but actually, you know, it's a basic leg lock, and it's you know, it's just that Kimura grip on the foot. And once you've established that, you can finish a lot of people.
Actually, the grip is, so the band is Kimura, and it's the figure 4 lock. Luke likes an Americana, figure 4 lock. You like the toe hold, figure 4 lock. Come on. Why would you call your band Kimura if you don't like the Kimura?
Well, exactly.
I think
it's in the bank for all of us. Like we've all used them heavily at some point.
Yeah. For me, it's my go-to whenever I'm in the guard. It is always the first thing I go for. I have a lot of success with people. Again, it's like you were saying, Chris, because it's such a kind of day one submission. People get lazy about looking out for it. So I find even guys that are a little more kind of advanced. So if they forget to look for it, all of a sudden it's there and it's available. I find I use it a lot to sweep from half guard as well, because I get the lock, and what guys will naturally do is they'll keep their arm in tight to defend me bending it round. So because it's in tight, they've taken away a post, and boom, corner. I've got that sweep. So that's the fun thing about a Kimura as well, is that it's not just a submission. It's a great transition move as well.
There's a great fake out as well from top of side control. It's one of the first techniques that I ever learned at Premier, which is when you establish that Kimura grip and then you roll yourself off the opponent, you end up sort of facing their head. And instinctive, and I've yet to have anybody not do this, because your weight comes off them, they sit up straight away. And if you keep the hand in the pocket, they sit up into it, they come up off the floor, you sweep your knee in, and then you take the back. And it's a lovely little fake out for people that are expecting you to try and crank a Kimura, establish the position, watch them panic a little bit, then roll off and they go, oh, I'm all right, and sit up, and then boom, you're on their back and they don't know what happened. It's great.
That classic Kimura trap, right? I think Kimura is probably my highest percentage submission, but maybe not my favorite go-to, but easily my highest percentage. So many options from that grip.
It's a great technique.
So, El, when these guys are talking, like we're talking about jiu-jitsu and martial arts and all that kind of stuff all the time, what do you think about it all?
I just zone out, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. So majority of the time I just sit in the background and just play with the drumsticks and make a noise, really, until they remember I'm there still.
Bit like now. Where's your drumstick?
Yeah, pretty much. I've got them. I'm sitting on the bed. So yeah, but no, I mean, I get it, and I don't understand what they're talking about half the time. But I suppose it's nice for people to have a hobby.
Cool. What do you do outside of band and work? Do you do anything else?
Not particularly. I mean, I used to kickbox with Stuart a long time ago. I fish.
That, don't you?
Yeah, I don't really enjoy doing that, but I kind of have to do it to stop getting fat. Not much really.
So I guess when these guys are talking about jiu-jitsu, it's not like kickboxing where you go, oh, jab, cross, hook, kick. You can relate. You go, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. When they start throwing things like...
I start thinking about sort of WWF when they start talking.
Well, the way these guys dress is definitely WWF. Pink rash
guard.
I
know.
Brendan likes the suplex as well, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, I do love the suplex. Actually, I hit a suplex off a Kimura grip quite a lot, which is, it's one of the nice ones.
Did you understand that? Suplex
no.
Kimura grip?
No. No.
Luke looks like Bret Hart.
And then this is what will normally happen. We'll talk about normal things, and then it gets reverted back to jiu-jitsu, and then I zone out again. So
it must be quite frustrating. It's not like one or two guys in the band that talk about it. It's like it's everybody. It's got this
to be honest with you, it don't bother me because we're in. So me, Luke, and Dan are in a sort of a skate punk band as well, and they often talk about stuff I don't know nothing about either. So, you know,
yeah, that's all.
You know, yeah.
So skate punk.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What's some bands so things like Green Day or The Offspring, it's that kind of end of the spectrum style music. That's the band that three of us are in. And then Kimura is kind of the side project that's
when I hear that, I hear, what was that bird that did Skater Boy?
Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, see, that's what comes into my head. Skater Boy. I'm like, is that what you like? I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what Dan sounds like when he sings.
It's funny actually talking about boring L with the jiu-jitsu chat. I think last week or maybe the week before, we were all the three of us were on a call. We were doing something else, and my wife and Luke's wife were joining us, and we ended up getting into the jiu-jitsu chat, and I kind of looked over and I realised that the poor wives were both sitting there just scratching their heads. They were like, "Oh God, here the guys go again."
Laura's used to it.
Yeah, it's a regular occurrence.
A martial art that you can get super geeky about, right? Even if you're like these, buff, hardcore, six-pack, bicep guys, fighter types, you can get super geeky about the technicalities and just the chat and who's won what, who they won by, what they won by, who's fighting who next, and just your own techniques around the board. You could talk for hours on it. I mean, we talk for hours on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing with jiu-jitsu as well is that outside of lockdown, the events are just constant. There's promotions doing stuff all the time. So every week there's new stuff to talk about. This guy beat that guy. This guy said he was going to be brilliant, and they stalled out, and it was a terrible match. And there's always something new because the jiu-jitsu calendar seems like super stacked.
Yeah, it always is. All over the world it is as well, and we can kind of stream that now, which is pretty cool. So with that, you've got your favorite techniques. What gives you, what gives you the most problems? Is there a kryptonite?
Yeah, Brendan. I don't know. For me, it's guys with really good top pressure. I'm a big sucker for crumbling under a real good kind of stack pass, that sort of thing. And once somebody's kind of in a dominant bit of side control for me, I'm then super stuck. So I'm always trying to avoid that by turtling up and then trying to kind of roll out from there. So yeah, just getting stuck in a side control from somebody that's kind of tough. I'm a sucker for getting stuck there.
For getting stuck under the big guys, that's heavy. So about the other guys?
I think it's guys with a really strong guard game. I find really difficult because, passing is hard at the best of times, but I'm not the tallest guy. So guys with quite long limbs like James or Rick, that are kind of, you can get a leg out of the way, and then as you move to pass, it seems to kind of be back again. I can get stuck in guard sometimes. So I think my guard passing's got to improve, and also just really explosive guys that seem to have infinite gas tanks. When you start scrambling with them, they've just got constant power and movement. And I sometimes find that if you scramble for too long, I sort of come out of it and I'm a little bit flustered. I'm not quite sure where to go from it. And it takes me a second to get my head back in the game. And if they're really confident, that second's all it takes. And then, boom, you're on your back. So it's kind of that really aggressive scrambling as well can be quite hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's hard too. Brendan, what do you reckon?
I think definitely agree with Dan that bottom of side control absolutely sucks. I've been trying to work on things to get my game to deal with that. Again, Kimura trap comes in with that. There's a escape from side control with, as Luke was talking about, the Kimura trap. But I think just before we broke up, I was doing a lot of gi classes, and a lot of people now are using. I mean, you were teaching a lot of the lapel stuff before we broke up, sir, and there was a lot of people using some really technical grips to shut down passes and things like that. So the normal way of I quite like a stack pass, but people were breaking grips, getting out, and then tying me up with my gi and my lapels and things like that, and using lassos and all that sort of stuff. So I think as people have become more technical, the game at Premier has changed, and that's quite hard for me to deal with all of those lasso and those weird open guards.
I think you have to be more strategic with your defense approach, don't you? Yeah. So let's do something for Elle. Let's ask Elle a question. How long have you been playing the drums, my man?
Christ, how old am I? I'm 30. So, probably about 16 years. About 16 years.
16 years. So that's pretty cool.
So I started in year 10, I think. So
why drums? Did you watch somebody and get some kind of mad inspiration, or what was it?
Not really. I think it was the only thing left in the band that needed to be done. So I had a mate who was a guitarist. I had a mate that bought a bass. So drums fell on me, and I just kind of picked up from there, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you other guys? Was there I've tried countless times, so I'd love to be able to play the guitar, but time and effort and time to practice and stuff, I'm not really dedicating any time to it. Did you guys just pick up a certain instrument and go, right, this is what I'm going to do, or can you play multiple instruments?
I think my dad always wanted me to play the guitar. When I was a kid, he used to give me his old classic rock records. I listened to a lot of Cream and Hendrix and all that kind of stuff, Led Zeppelin, and so I think he was always trying to kind of push me into playing the guitar. And then I remember I wanted to get guitar lessons, so I started doing it at school. And the only guitar lessons they had at school was flamenco acoustic. So I spent. And this is actually, weirdly, if you watch videos or come to any of the gigs, this is why I don't play with the guitar. It's supposed to use a pick, but I ended up playing with my fingers. It's because I did a couple of years playing sort of Spanish flamenco acoustic guitar, or gypsy jazz. And then I got an electric guitar, which is what I wanted in the first place. And I tried to use the pick, and I couldn't, because I hadn't really learned it. I didn't know what to do with it. So it would kind of held me back a little bit. So, rather than going back and learning that, I just kept playing with my fingers, and I worked my way around kind of. So it's like, I guess it's like catch wrestling guitar. Like there was an issue when I just plowed through it.
Play with 4 fingers, like all 4.
Yeah. So you just kind of hit it, and then you can play 1 string, or you can play it really hard with 2 fingers, or there's this kind of, that's a flamenco strum pattern. And then if I'm doing it, of course, I just dig into it like that. There's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah,
did you fall into the... Oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
So he's an anomaly amongst rock guitarists. We were even in the other band constantly getting comments about Luke's just surrounded by everybody at the end of every show, just
going, what are you doing? Why are you like this?
For me, I was a classically trained pianist and singer through school. I hated it the whole time. Hated it, sitting there playing piano, doing arpeggios, learning to sing properly, all of that sort of stuff. I just absolutely hated it. And then I found Metallica, and I was just like, oh my god, this is it. This is everything I want to be. So I dumped the piano, got a guitar, had a friend that could also play guitar. He sort of showed me the basics, and I worked the rest out myself. One of the good things about having been a pianist beforehand is I think it's one of the most transferable musical instruments to play. If you can play you can use a keyboard properly, that transfers very well over to other instruments. Whereas if you learn to play like the trumpet in school, you're screwed basically.
So my recorder skills are not coming in handy.
Probably not. Probably.
My triangle score.
No, the triangle will make you play the drums, mate. No worries.
But yeah, so I picked up a guitar. About 12, 13, and then I've been in many a band. I used to tour the country with a covers band when I was kind of in my early 20s, and then I've been in other punk bands just constantly now for 20 years. Constant gigging.
Wow, so that's pretty impressive, really, for so long, huh?
Yeah.
And you can transfer. It's almost like you've gone into what your parents got you to do. You've gone down the complete opposite route, like everything traditionally trained.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Brendan says, I used to spend a lot of time playing on my Super Nintendo, and my mum would go, "You'll never get a job sitting around playing Mario all day." And there
he is.
I got it.
Brendan, did you pick it up young as well?
No, I was one of those people who was screwed because I picked up the trumpet. If you wanted to learn an instrument at school, it was the trumpet or the violin, and you had to audition. There were only 8 spaces on each, and I went with the trumpet because it seemed cooler. You could play jazz, I guess, on it. And then I think it was around the year 2000. There was I'd heard of Led Zeppelin. I was about 15, but sort of, you got to remember, it's not like now. You can't just go onto Google Play or Spotify or whatever and look up a band. Someone used to have to, if the radio wasn't playing it, someone used to have the CD. So I'd heard of Led Zeppelin, but a lot of the music my mum and dad had was all like old Irish songs and things like that. So I didn't really have any reference. Then there was some sort of football tournament on, and they played Kashmir. And which I don't know if you know the song, but if you check Kashmir out afterwards, it's just got this really good riff, and then they used that for this football tournament, and I was like, man, what the hell is this? Found out from one of the teachers, like we were chatting about, he goes, oh yeah, that's Led Zeppelin. He did a little burn CD. I don't remember the 90s, the early 2000s, you'd like rip each other's CDs. Virgin Megastore, like you'd go in and like you'd all pick 5 CDs you wanted, split the money, 30 quid, get them, all that sort of stuff. But so I was like, I've got to get that. Then I got into Jimmy Page. I was like, who's the guitarist from Led Zeppelin? And bit like Luke, he was a classically trained guitarist who then sort of ended up playing all these rock stuff with the Yardbirds. A lot of the Rolling Stones albums, it's actually Jimmy Page playing music on it. So go into that. And then after being really into it, didn't play it for a while until I got into a covers band at work where we did this gig for, there was a charity thing, and we just did we put a band together to do a gig for that, and that was a lot of fun. Started talking to Luke and Dan at Premier, and yeah, you know, sort of got really into playing music again. So it was a really, really good thing to happen.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. While we're kind of locked down, it's nice to connect with you guys. You know, sometimes we're chatting in between roles. It's always jiu-jitsu chat if we go for a drink and stuff, or we go to these shows and watch a lot of jiu-jitsu. Of course, that's how we met. That's how we connect. But it's nice to get to know you guys, and the guys that train with us, I'm sure, are going to watch this and go, damn, I didn't realize, you know. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
No problem.
Pleasure.
Stay safe and all that. We'll see you soon. I appreciate your time too. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, nice to meet you too. You might see me down there soon.
Yeah, we'll drag him down, guys. Drag him down.
Up, man.
you do kickboxing, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Nice.
All right,
guys.
If you want some blue stories about Mr. McDowell, then L's your man as well.
Yeah, I've been told to keep it clean, so next time.
Good work. All right, guys.